Hi and welcome. In this video you will learn all the knowledge and concept required for building this website by yourself. I assume that you have some intermediate knowledge of HTML, CSS and JavaScript or Webflow. If you don't, then learn some of HTML, CSS or Webflow first and then follow this video. First of all, clone the Webflow website and also visit the Figma file down in the description. Every section I made in Webflow, there is exactly with the same name a group of elements in the Figma. First, we inspect how the structure of the section works in Figma, which will help you to have some idea of HTML and CSS of that specific section. Then, we are going to see how it's built in Webflow. And finally, we see how the animation works. Also, I have a video animation, a presentation to let you get the concept clearly, the concept of the animation. But before that, if you are new here, my name is Adam Ruya and I help you to get out of the tutorial hell by making projects in Webflow or HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I build a project by myself and then I explain all the concepts, techniques and steps required so you could build the same project by yourself. And then I provide you all the files or clones you need to complete the project. Thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. Okay, finally we are here. We start, as we said, we start with the Figma. But before that, the body of the current website that I'm working on is kind of like this color, which is pink, or I don't know, pink or just light red. And that is just for a presentation. And first of all, we start the website with these two headline, these two nav actually. One is called nav and the other one is iPhone 12 nav. And the iPhone 12 nav is actually position sticky, as you see here. This one is position sticky. And these two are for the people who has like a little bit of knowledge of Webflow or HTML, CSS. It's just very easy to build, so we are not going to talk about this one. And let's talk about the hero section. And one thing more, anything on the Figma file, every section has the same name as the Webflow here, from the nav to the iOS, and in the Figma from the nav to iOS. The first section is the hero section, and it starts from here and finish in here. We have two headlines in here, and we have then this image, and then we have the paragraph, the link, and this content below. Which part is visible in our computer? So as you can see here, this represents the computer, our computer, and this is what is visible, and this is the entire section. And now we understand the structure of the HTML. So now let's see how the CSS work. So let's dive to the Webflow, and in here we have this hero section, which is a div. It has some start here, some padding, which you can inspect by yourself. And after that, we have inside of that we have four elements, four child of this hero div. One is the header parent. So as we discussed in the Figma, we have two headline here. So these two are the parent of those two headlines. Then we have the container and we have another container. One of the container holds the two elements, which one is the video and the other one is the hero image. And the other container holds all of these content inside. So let's see how these two header works. The moment we open the page, as it loads, what happens is first the video loads, and after that one the two overlay just goes from left to right and the video just stops. Okay, but let's see how it really works. So what happened is there's no video to stop. The video keep keep playing. But what happened is that the opacity of the video is going to 0. So in here, the header parent is a flux box that center its element, and inside of that we have another div, and that div has position relative with some width. And why we have position relative? Because inside we have this header overlay which has the position absolute and it's centered. So now if I turn the opacity to 0, now you can see that that is exactly a div in front of the headline. And the moment page loads, we just animate, we just transform it from here. If I translate it to X direction, we just translate like this. As you can see, it's moving to the right. So let's remove it and let's put opacity back to 100. After these two, we have the container. And the container is a div that we are going to use it a lot in the entire page, in every section. But currently in here, we have some height for the container, and the position is relative. And inside the container, we have two elements, one video and one image. And the video and image, they are both position absolute, and they are in front of each other, just stacked on the top of each other. So when the page loads and the length of the video, when the video is played and finished, then we turn the opacity of the video to 0. And let me show you, the moment I turn the opacity of the video to 0, you see the image is in the background. So this is how this one works. And after that we have another container. In this container is just like some paragraph inside of it. So the hero section finished, but not yet. We just talk about HTML, CSS. So now let's talk about the animation. We have a scrolling animation on this one, and we also have a page load animation. So let's see the page load. How the page load actually work. So what happened is the opacity is 100, and after 4.9 seconds, then the opacity goes to 0, and we just display the header overlay. Those overlay that you see in here, they just turn to 0, and the and its display just going display to hidden after 5 seconds. And this is as the animation, and the animation on scroll. So how to understand the animation on scroll? So when we are here, as I scroll, do you see that the image is going up? And for that one, I show you something else. Just wait. I made another animation for you so you could understand it better. This is from zoom in. So this is what we see when we open the website. This is exactly what we see. The page loads and then we just scroll, and that's what we really see. So what is really happening, what is really, if we just zoom out and we can see outside of the laptop, the entire page, how it works. So let's see. Can you see as we scroll how the image is just moving upwards? Okay, so you understand how the image is going up, but how it's actually done in Webflow. In Webflow, in here scroll, what happened is that the container that holds this one at 0%, it's 0 pixel. If I show you here, it's 0 pixel in the Y direction. And as we go to the 30% of the screen, we are minus 436 pixel. It's actually moving upward to minus 436. So we are done with the hero section, and after the hero section we have this other section here. the less bezel one. So for the less bezel, let's first go to the Figma, and in the Figma we have this, just a headline and this image, and this is what the structure look like. We have this headline here and the image, but in front of it we have an overlay. And why we actually cannot see the overlay here in the Webflow, so let's inspect this one first. The parent has some padding top and padding bottom, overflow is hidden, and so on. Then inside of it we have the container. As usual, it has a maximum width of 980, which is not going to be bigger than 980. All the element inside of it will be inside of that 980 pixel. And this is the overlay. So I think I put the overlay here to 0. I can turn it to 100. So this is a div which is going to be position absolute, and this minus 50%, just move it to the left. And we have the header, which is position like static, normal, but the z-axis of this one is 6, which is higher than the header and the wrapper of the image. This is all we have in here, which is very easy to understand. And now let me turn the opacity of the overlay back to 0, and inside of this other div, which is the parent of the media. So anywhere you see media wrapper in the page, that is the div that holds the image, the video, any other part of that media inside of it. So that is how I name it. It has position auto, which is in the center. It has a width and a height, position of relative. Why position relative? Because everything inside is actually position. Some of them are position absolute. For example, the low-T and actually the image. So the image mask here you can inspect. This is just the image of the phone, the mask. And inside of it we have this low-T, and the low-T is the one that is going to play here. So if I open this one, this is the mask, and inside I have this low-T that is playing when it's come into the view. So how we actually do that one? So what happened is that we have the div, and inside of the div, like a Photoshop, we just take the element and position, okay, this much to the left, this much to the right, this much up, this much down. We're just giving positioning absolute, and then we fix it. For example, the low-T is here. If I turn off the opacity of low-T, set to 0, and the image, I turn the image as well to 0, and also this one, I turn it to 0. Then what happened is that first of all, this div is the mask. You see, this is just a mask, and inside of it, I have the low-T, which is this one. So you can see how much value I give. You can just play with it and see how it works. For example, here, if I move, you see how the low-T just moves. So let me put it back to where it was. And after this mask and this low-T, we have the image. So we have the entire image of this one, and we put it also in there. So basically what happened is, the moment we come up in here, the low-T is going to play. You see, when it comes into view, the low-T is going to play. And exactly after the length of that low-T, the opacity of the low-T is going to be 0. And then what we can see is the image. Here the low-T is finished actually. Now the opacity is low-T is 0. The display is none. So just we see the image. So the low-T was just in front of the image. Okay, I think we are done also with this section. So these are not something that you just understand it in 1 hour. So you need to play with it. You need to see how everything really works. Then you really can understand it. So this less Bezel one also not so complicated to understand. And yep, for the animation actually, we have 2 animation. One is for the parent itself, because as we scroll as we scroll, what happens is that this diff is going to the right, and also the phone image itself is going upward. You see, in the bottom, the distance between the headline and the image is so much, but when we are on the top, it's almost on the top of each other. So in this, we have while scrolling into the view. And now you can see how this animation here works. But before that, let me show you a animation here that we can see the, okay, this is the hero section that just passed. And after that, you see this diff just going to the right and the image is going upward. And this is how we see from far distance. Okay, let me bring myself here. So this is what we see from far outside our screen. So let me play. So can you see here? This is the less Bezel section and it just stays as it is. Nothing moves, nothing happens. The moment I told you this one, let me show you again. This one is the section, and the moment section touches here, the 0%, the animation starts and all the way here to 100, which is the top of the screen. So you see this overlay. Okay, let me play the video. Okay, you see, the moment it comes almost around 30% of the screen, what happens is it's going to the right, and the image itself, you see it's going upwards. Did you see in here it's almost just on the top of the headline? And the animation, I hope you understand. So once you understand, then you can play here with this one. For example, you can see the overlay. The overlay here is at 0% and at 20%, which is the 20% of the screen, it's still at 0%, and at 40 it's almost at 100, going all the way to the right and show us the headline. And for the phone itself, for this one, at 0% it's at 300 pixel down, and at 65 it's minus 100 pixel upward, from 300 pixel to minus 100 pixel, which is from down here and just going upwards. And the other animation it actually has is the while scrolling into the view, and this media wrapper, it has a scroll into the view. So what happens is the moment it comes into the view, the low T starts as 0 frame and it goes at after 9.08 seconds, the low T is going to play all the way to 100% of the frame. And after that, we just turn the opacity 0 and the image behind it is going to be seen. So why we don't turn the opacity 0? Why we just don't stop there? Because the quality of the image is much far better than the low T. So the low T just played and then it just turned to opacity turned to 0, and then the image can be seen in a very good quality. So I will show you the example much down there, which really shows how much it really affects. So I can show it in here. For example, you see the quality of this low T is not that good, and the moment it stops and the opacity goes 0, you see the quality of the image is so much better. Okay, after the less Bezel one, we have the other section, which is the section of the compare. Let's go and see in the Figma file. In the Figma, This is the compare section here. We have 3 elements inside this section. This one, the image, and this one. So how it actually works. In here, we have one div here and another div here and another div here. So basically the parent must be Flexbox and the 3 elements should be horizontally aligned with same distance from each other. And as you can see, the font it's pushed down. So as we scroll, the image just go upward. And for this one, let me first show you the animation so you could understand it much better. Okay, here, this is the compare. Did you see how the image is going upward? This is what we see actually in our screen. So just wait a moment and I'll show you here outside of the screen, outside of the box. So as you can see, here I scroll down to show you again. As I scroll up, you see the font, these 2 div are just constant and it's there. And the div is going upward, the low-T. And when we come here, you see they are exactly in the same position. And then when it get out of the view, out of the laptop screen, we don't care what happens there. Okay, so let's go to the Webflow. And in the Webflow, the compare section, it has some padding and overflow hidden and some other setting which you can see by yourself. And then we have the container as usual, which putting them in the center. Then we have, as I told you, the compare flags. This is a flags box horizontal and it just has 3 child, which are 3 div, and this div is also a flags box, which that's why the headline, the paragraph are exactly in the center. Inside of that we have just some headline, which is very simple. You can just play with it and see how it works. So in here also, as before, we have a low-T and an image. So after the low-T come into the view, it just plays, and then the opacity of low-T is going to be 0, and then the image in the back can be seen. So the image, in this case, the low-T is position absolute and the image is static. So the image is behind the low-T. And if I show you here, see the image is in the back. So we have 2 animations for this one. One is the animation on scroll, which you can open this compare scroll, and then you can see how every element is going to work. From 0 to 30%, from 30 to 50%, from 50 to 80, and 80 to 100. So I hope you understand what that does this 0, 30, and 50 mean. So 0, 30, and 50 is like when the parent is not seen and it just touches the 0, and then when 30% of the parent is being seen, then 50, then 60, then 100 when it's really getting out of the view. So in this case, let me just show you the example of the low-T. The image. So at first, when at 0% is 300 pixels down, and at 100% it's minus 300 pixels up. So it starts at 0, in here 300 pixels down, and then as we scroll, it's just going upward all the way to 300 pixels. Okay, so next we have this compare flags, which this one is when it's scrolling to the view. So when it's come into the view, the low-T is going to be played exactly 2.5 seconds, because the duration of the video is 2.5 seconds. And then it just opacity gets to 0 and the image in the back can be seen. Also the compare not really that hard, so you can just inspect, you can just experiment with the section and see what you really found in it. Okay, next we have this section called kick glass, which sounds funny. Okay, let's go to the Figma and find the kick glass. This one is the kick gloss. So we basically have this section, and inside of it we have a headline, an image, and another headline with the button. So every headline has that overlay in front of it, which when we scroll it just moves to the left and finish. So we don't have too much complicated stuff here. So for the kick gloss we have the same just 220 pixel of padding and overflow hidden, and inside of it we have the container as usual. So we have one container for this headline, and then we have the image and another container for this headline. So inside of the container we have a wrapper which takes the headline and the overlay. No, this is just the wrapper, and inside we have another div, and this div has position relative, and inside of it we have just a headline and the overlay. So this is the overlay actually, and you can just play with it. You can put it on the left or you can put it on the right, like whichever you want. And this is not so complicated stuff. I hope you understand it. And then we have the image, and for the image we just have fixed width, fixed height, and margin auto to center it. And the image is this image. We give fixed width and also fixed height in the center, and this is the image. And then we have the other headline in the bottom, and then we have the button. And what we have for the animation, as we scroll, for the animation, just the two overlay as we scroll, maybe from 0 to like 30, then they move to the right, and the image, you see the image is actually going up. From down, as we scroll, the image is moving upwards. And I will open the animation first. So the kick gloss scroll animation, oh wow, there's so much, but it's fine, no need to just worry. Just click the element here, for example the kick gloss image, then you can see at 0 it's 200 pixel down, at 20% it just comes to 0, and no, this is the move. At 0 is 200, and at 100 it's minus 200 pixel up, so just going upwards. And if I show you the animation, okay, so this is the animation. So you see when it reaches at some point of the screen, when the parent section, which is the parent of all of these elements, the moment it touches some percentage of the screen, you see they are moving to the left. So this is what we actually see in our screen, and this is just zoom in. Yeah, but if you zoom out, this is how it looks. You see in here nothing happens. The moment you see this black line, this is the parent of these sections. So let me just clarify with my pen, just 1 second. Okay, so just 1 second. Okay, so here you see this line here. This line is the beginning of the section, this line is the end of the section. The moment it touches here of the screen, that is 0%. So when the moment it touches here, this is the 50%. So let me play. So if I play it, the moment I play, you see here 50%. The moment it goes up, so you see the kick gloss just moving to the right, and also the image itself is going upwards. Okay, and what we have next? Okay, next we have this animation here, which you can just play with it. For example, see the kick gloss overlay at 30%. This is 0% on the X, which is not moving in the X direction. At 50%, it's moving 70% to the right, but we can make that 70% say to 85 and all the way to 89. I think you cannot see. Okay, I'm sorry, I just put my video here. So in here it's a 0%, and all the way back at 50% it's in 100%, but we can move it like say to 73 or to 76, as long as you just show the heading, just get out of in front of this heading. So you can, okay, I put it to 100 here, doesn't matter, whatever value you're happy with, and you can just play with every single one of them, just see like how they work, because if I explain every single one of them, that takes a lot of time. And next, the kick glass is finished, and okay, let's see the one that are finished. The one that I finished, I just let them display to none. And next we have the surgical grade. Surgical grade, I don't know how to pronounce. Okay, so in this one, first Figma. So in here we have one headline and a logo and another headline. Sorry. And the section itself actually is very tall. It's like almost 200 pixel or 300 pixel. And this is what we see. This is the viewport, the 100 pixel, as we can see. So we have 3 div. So the parent must be Flexbox for sure. And the display must be horizontal and 3 div inside of it. And this div has the entire height of the parent. And this logo has just exactly also the same height as the parent, and also this one. So this is just the experiment. Just let's see how we can build something like this in HTML and CSS or in Webflow. And can you see the overlay? The overlay is now actually vertical instead of horizontal. So which means that on the animation, when we scroll, it should go down in the y direction. Okay, we get it. And anything else do we have here? No, we don't have. And let's go to the Webflow, and here we have the section. Okay, it has some padding, very easy, and also overflow to hidden. Inside we have the container as usual. Okay, the container is the container that we used in the other sections, the previous sections. Okay, this is the Flexbox that we talk about. This is the only way we can achieve something like this. Just one way to achieve, not the only way. So it's Flexbox, it's in horizontal, the direction is horizontal, and it's stretch, which means, this stretch means that if the height of all the element inside of it would be the height of the tallest element. So this is one div to the left, which is the parent of the headline here, and this is the div that is the parent of the logo, and we have another animation, another headline here. So let's see. Inside of this one we have another div, which inside it has position relative, and actually it is rotate. It rotates 90%. So which means that at the beginning it was like this, horizontal. Then we rotate 90% and it just looks vertical. Inside of that we have the overlay. If I turn the overlay opacity to 0, in the back behind it we have the headline. So very easy to understand. And then we have the logo, and inside of the logo div we just have the logo, and the div has some height and some width which is fixed. So the height of all the element would be 1400 pixels, as I explained before, that the tallest one is 1400. So all the other siblings, which is this left and this right would have the same height. And for the animation part, it looks like this. So this is what we actually really see. And let me show you now how the animation work as we see from much far distance, as we can see outside of the our computer, outside of our monitor. And if I open this one, just a moment. You see, as we scroll, what happened is that the parent of the, like the overlays here, and as we scroll, you see the overlay is moving downwards. And also this surgical grade, the entire parent is going downward. This is not going the same velocity as this one, because this is normal, but this one is really going downwards. You see, as I scroll, it's just going like this. And just wait a moment, I also show you from much far distance. This is what we really see. And I think I did not make animation to just show it from very far. But it's fine. We get, I hope you get what it really works. So let me show you again. Let me go to the animation tab and I'll show you. Okay, the Lottie just at the 0, it doesn't start 0 frame, and at 60 it just finishes and goes to 100. And the one which is on the left, this overlay, and as we scroll to say 30, what happens is the opacity goes to 100 and it's just moving downwards. Yeah, in the y direction. So I hope you can see it here. So let me push myself here. So you can see in here at 30 and at 60 it's just moving to -20. No, this one is the div on the right. So if I show you in the Figma, if I show you in here, if I take just a moment, I take my pen. So this is the parent here, it starts here, and the parent starts here and finish here. This is the end, this is the start. So as we scroll, when the moment it comes here, this overlay is going downward because its initial position is in front of this headline. So it's just going downward. And as you can see, the entire parent of that div is also going downwards. Because if it's going out, after a little bit of scroll, it must out of the view. But no, it's just going downward. And also this one, the entire div is going downward, but with a different speed, with different height. But the load itself is also going down, but with a very, very less velocity. And if I show you here, if I show you in the Webflow here, you see, as we scroll, this overlay just go down, and also as you can see, the headline is going down, and this one is also going down, but with a different speed. So you just go to the animation and you just play with this animation with the same name of the section. So first the load animation from 0 to 60, then the overlay, which at 0 it doesn't move, and at 30 it moves 100 of its height, go down, and at 31 the opacity of it just going to 0. And then we have the other one, which is on the right. At 0 it's in 0%, and at 60 it's just going minus 20% of its height. It's going up actually, minus 20. And after that its opacity just going to 0. Opacity of surgical grade. The opacity of the entire section going to 0. The moment we arrive here at 60, can you see the entire opacity of the section is going to 0, and then the other section come into the view. So the next section is the water section, and the water section is not that hard. It's very easy to understand. We just have the image and some headline here, and this is how it works, the structure. The parent is here, starts here, finish here, and we have the image inside, and then we have these headlines here. And let's see it in the Webflow. We have the setting here, no padding at all. Inside we have the container like every other section, and inside the container we have the water image, which we have fixed width, fixed height, and the background image just fixed width, fixed height, and this image. And something here, we give position relative. We started at the center of the start position is the center of the body, and then we give it a margin negative to this side, half, just minus 386 actually, to push it a little bit to the right. So if I push it more, you see, it's just going that side. If I push it this side, it's going this side. So put it back there, and then we have another div for the content. This is also position relative, just minus 363 to push it up, because if at 0 it's down, so we just push it up to be in front of the image, because this one has the index of 2, the image has the index of 1. And this is just a simple div, and inside of it we have all of this content. For the animation, not so hard. For the animation, what we have, as we coming up, you see the headline, they're just going from the top, going up, like animation going up, and its opacity here is 0 and goes to 100. And you see that black one, how it come up, and the opacity goes from 0 to 100. That is the only animation we have. Okay, that's not the only animation. When we reach the top, the opacity of the entire section is going to 0. So in here, the animation of this black headline goes from bottom to up, opacity from 0 to 100, and then opacity from 100 here goes back to 0, and the opacity of the entire section is going to 0. Okay, after the water we have the 4 touch, which is this one. But before that, let me make the display of this one to none, and also display of the surgical grade to none. And then we have the water and the 4 touch. So the 4 touch is also relatively simple. If we see it in the Figma, the 4 touch is just a big image and a headline down there, and okay, we just have the image in here, the image, the headline, and just that paragraph. So let's see it in the Webflow. We have the 4 touch section, which only the overflow is hidden, nothing else, no other style. Then we have the container as usual. Then inside of it we have the 4 touch picture, which it has a fixed width, is a fixed height, and it just starts from the center of the screen, and minus 549, and minus 549 is the half of the width, so it's exactly in the center of the monitor. That is how we can center. We can just start 50% from the right after we give position relative. Either we can give transform minus 50, or we can just give a negative margin half of the width, so it just goes exactly to the center. And then we have this headline and another paragraph here. And for the animation, nothing so hard. And sorry, not this one. Oh yeah, yes, this one. So for this part, we have in the for touch, we have, okay, I forgot something else. Here in the, this is not only image, this div is, that I talk about here. This div is the parent that holds the loti and the image, the loti in the front and the image behind it. So when the loti is played and finished, then the opacity goes to 0 and the image can be seen here, as we can see it in here. When it comes into the view. Okay, sometimes the loti just doesn't play, I don't know why. Okay, I don't know why it's not playing, but let me just refresh the page here. I refresh the page. And when we come here, okay, I don't know why, but you get the point. You get the point that when it comes into the view, the loti just play, and after the loti is played, then the opacity goes to 0. And here is what I just keep telling to you, and you should understand. You can just figure it out here. The for touch opacity is 100, and then the headline, the opacity here is 0, and at 60 the opacity goes to 100. So let's see how it works. Here opacity is 0, and as we go up, opacity of this goes to 100, just like this one. So you can just play with this animation. It's not so difficult, and you cannot understand it just in 5 minutes. You have to play with it, you have to change stuff until you really get it, how it works. And after the for touch, we have 5G download. Okay, this is this is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite, and I will show you the other one. What I really like about this website. This is one of the one. So we will talk about this one a lot, because the other sections so far we talk about is very easy. I mean, if somebody has an intermediate knowledge of Webflow or HTML, CSS, they really can build the previous sections by themselves. But this one would take a little bit of time to really understand. So first we go to Figma. First we go to Figma, and in the Figma, as you can see, we have this phone and these children inside of it. So it just looks something normal. We don't know how it works. And then let's see, this is our screen. This is the laptop that we open the website, and this is what we see. And if we go and see outside, oh, it works like this one. This is the entire section, and this is what we really see in our computer. But outside of the computer, you see all of those elements are separated from the phone. They are not together. They are not a video. They are element of themselves. Okay, very good. So this is what we see in our computer when we scroll and it comes here. Let me show you. Okay, here, this is what we see in our computer. This is what happened in the bottom of the computer that we really cannot see until we scroll. Like this is exactly in here, you see? But we cannot see because this is out of the view of the screen. And this is there combined together, you see? As I scroll up, as I see the image is up here, okay. When the image touches up here. Oh, but this one doesn't look like the Figma file, right? The reason is that those actually exist here. If I take my pen, okay, this is going to take a little bit of time, but it's fine. If you just want to skip, just skip. So if I go to my pen, here, see every single of these elements here and here. You see the difference between this one and this one here is that this one is twice the size of that one. Its scale is 2. And actually all of them are here. All of them are already in here, out of our view. But we cannot see why. Because first, the opacity is 0. Second, they're outside of the laptop screen that we see. And as we scroll, the opacity goes from 100, see here, the opacity goes from 100 back to, opacity goes from 0, which we cannot see, opacity goes from 0 to 100, from 0 to 100. And if I show you here, and when I scroll, just a moment. So as I scroll, you see opacity from here, the opacity is 0. A little bit of scroll, opacity gets to 50, and here opacity gets to 100. And scale from 2 goes to 1, from 2 to 1. And you see all of them just keep coming like this, and it looks so cool. I hope you get it. Let's go back to Figma. So this is how it works. And this is just to understand the structure. So how it actually works. First of all, we have a div. Because when you want to make something in HTML, first you have to understand how to build it. So let's understand that one first. So we have a div. Okay, we have a div in here, and then what we do is we just put another div inside of that, and we put that as an image. So let me just send this one to back. Send to back. So this is the div that has position relative. We just make a div in HTML, and after that what we do, we make another div and we give a background image of this, and we put it inside of the other div that has position relative, and we give this one position absolute. And after that we make another div and give it some width, some height, same as this image here, and we give it a background image, and we put this one as a background image, and we give position absolute, and we put it in here, we fix it here. And after that what we do, very simple, you understand it. We just give another div, we give background, no, not background image, we can just div and put this image inside, and we give it position absolute and fix it here. And then after that we put this one in front of this, and then this one we put it here. Wow, great. And then what we do is we just put all of them here. And then we just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. And look at here. If I take my scale and if I scale this one to 2, you see it's getting big. So when we scroll from scale of 2, we are going to scale of 1. So I hope you understand this much. Because after this one, we are going to Webflow. Okay, this section 5G. And this is the Webflow. Now you know that this is an image, and this top UI is also an image. This is also an image, and how you see how the opacity of this image goes to 0, and we can see the defending Jacob. And also this one is an image. Okay, let's see how actually it was built in here. So we have the 5D download section, which this one has some padding, overflow to hidden, and next we have the download. Okay, let's see if my microphone really working, because I'm afraid it doesn't work. Okay, it's working. We have the download, which the download is actually the entire section. Then we have the download content, which is the bottom here. We are interested in the first one, and inside of that we have the container as usual, but the download has an auto height. It has some margin, some padding, overflow hidden. You can, you get it, you can just play with that, you can just see what is happening, you can just inspect it. Then we have the download heading, which takes the overlay, if I open, it has 2 heading, and it has this overlay. If I turn the overlay to 100, you see it's there, and it is position relative. And then we have the device. This is the hard one to understand, I mean it. We have the device. So the device has a width of 770 pixel, and we just give position relative, start 50%, and then we give it negative margin, half of the width, so exactly in the center. So we get it so far. So this div, the download div, if I show you which one is that. So just 1 second as I just go back. Okay, you see this div? This is exactly this div of download device, which has position relative. And inside of that one, we have one div, which is the overlay of the top, that one, because as we scroll, in front of that, an overlay will appear. For example, in here, you see, this one goes, and then as we scroll, then the image come up, and this one gets opacity 100, and then it just disappear. This is how it works. That's why we have that one. And this one is the download wrapper. So the download hardware. So this download wrapper is here. The download header is actually this one. You see this screen? This one is this download hardware. You see the background image? So we just give it some fixed width, some fixed height, and positioning it absolute. And after that one, we have this screen, and this screen has combination of all the elements. It has fixed width, fixed height, the same width and same height of the big image with this image. This one has a width of 770 and 1336. And in the Figma, we have exactly, in the Webflow, we have the same width, the same height, and the background image of this download hardware is the same as we saw it in the Figma. Then what we have is we have this download screen. And this download screen, first, it has the top download UI. It's a div, and it has a background image of this one. If I show you, you see, it's that image that we saw it in Figma. And after that one, we have a list, and inside the list we have a div, and that div has another div that has a background image. And which one is the background image? The background image is, okay, so far we understand that this one was the div of the wrapper, and then we had the hardware in front of it, and then we take this one and we put it in here, and after that we had a list, and one of the list elements was this first one. Okay, we are so far, and after that we have another image, and that image is this downloading one, and then we had this downloading, and we put it in here. And okay, what we have next? Okay, then we have another div, which is the download arrow, and we have this one, and we bring it all the way in here. And then what we do, we copy the entire parent div, which is here in Webflow. Then we have the entire this, and we copy paste, and copy paste, and then we change the background image of every single one of them. And remember, when we change the background image, we also give them a combo class. So if you see, every single one of them is going to have a combo class in here. For example, this one has a download movie image --2, then download image --3, --4, --5. Keep giving combo class and then changing the image. So I hope you understand this far. So that is the structure. That is how it was built. And I did not go too detailed. So for the too detailed one, you have to see the position and how much the percentage. Okay, it just sometimes it happens to Webflow. It's fine. So let me just go back and open it. Sometimes it just refresh. I don't know if it's because of Chrome or because of the Webflow. Okay, where we have been so far. Okay, 5G download. Okay, I hope you understand the structure so far. And now let me show you the animation, how the animation actually works. So this one is the cool one, because this one really shows you not only what we see, but only outside of the monitor, which we can see it very far. Okay, so let me play as the animation, you see. So this is the monitor screen, the laptop screen that every user see. And then this one, go to the left. But if you see closely, we have all of this already here. These are already out of the screen, we cannot see. And in here, opacity is 100 because I want to show you to be able to see. But the website itself, the opacity is 0. So if I play, so you can see, yeah, and this was the scale down to 1, scale down to 1, scale down to 1. You see? It works that way. Now we are scrolling opposite, scrolling upward. I hope you get it. This is actually the very zoom one. When this is what every user see. Yeah, and here they have opacity 100, but on the website itself, the opacity is 0, and it goes from 0 to 100, 0 to 100. Okay, let me just come back here. So look at this part. Okay, what? Just a second. Look at this home before dark. The moment I just go slowly, you see how the home before dark downloading that image, which is here, how the opacity goes to 0. See here, opacity goes to 0. Yeah. Okay, so let me get out of here. I hope you understand that far. So here you can see that they are already here and they are just getting scaled down. But I did not show you how we actually scaled that one up. So let me show you. Okay, it must be here. The device, then the list, download wrapper, yeah, download screen, then the list, and I open the list, this one. Okay, here. Can you see they have a 2D transform? Let me change the, move myself somewhere here. You see, in 2D transform, it has origin. And origin is the top. Okay, let me give origin to the center, and after that I give it a transform, and I give a scale from 1 to 2. Oh, all of them become so big. Exactly the same as we see in the Figma. So this is the initial position, a scale of 2. Okay, I scale it back to 1. Because I want to show you something. So let me just take one of them and give a combo class of 1. And now I scale it to 2. You see, when the origin was in the center, it just scaled down exactly from its center to everywhere. Okay, so let me give it back to 1. And let me go here. It's in the origin, right? Let's put it on the top here. Top 0, left 50. What about now? If I scale it to 1, see, when I scale it to 2, the top is exactly here. So it's scaling all the way downward. When the origin was in the center, it scaled everywhere. That is very important. That's very important to understand that why the scale, the origin here. The origin is in the top, not in the center. Because as we scroll, can you see? They are scaled up to 2 from the top, and then they go back to their position like this one. And if I show you the animation is in here while scroll into the view. So I will not show you everything, but I just show you like some of them. For example, let me show you this one, the first image. First, the opacity is 0. The moment it comes into the view, when we scroll, the opacity of the initial opacity is 0. And after 10%, the opacity goes to 100. And how about the scale? Okay, can you see it here? The initial scale is 2. It's big. And after we scroll 10% from 30 to 40, the scale goes to 1. And then we go to the other one, from 40 to 50, is this the other one? And then the third one goes from 60 to 70, and the other one goes from 70 to 80, and 80 to 90, and 90 to 100. This is all the animation here. You can play with it whole day and then just practice with it, experiment. You cannot just understand it in 5 or 10 minutes, as I explained. Like it took me almost 4 days to understand the website and build it. So you have to give time. And here the animation at 0 it's just going to the right, and then this one opacity gets to 100, and then they are scaling down from 2 to 1, opacity from 0 to 100, like this, like this, like this. Okay, I told you I'm going to show only one and explain only one, but I forgot to explain this one. Okay, you get the point of how this one is going to scale from 2 all the way to 1. And what about this one? This defending Jacob. Okay, let's see how this one plays. At 39 to 40, before the other image, 39 to 40, at 39 opacity is 100. And then at 40, opacity gets to 0. So see it in here. So as I come here, can you see this downloading episode? This is that image, and from say like 59 to 60, so this is the 5th element, so it goes from 40 to 50, for example. So from 49 to 50, exactly, you see how the opacity of this image goes to 0, because this is in front of the other image. And then you can see the name, Little Voice. And for this one, for the Loti, if this is the 6th element and it's going from 50 to 60, at 59 to 60, you see this Loti just goes like this, and the moment it's there, it just goes, and it just changed this one. That is actually a Loti. So I can show you here. This is the Loti. Can you see the download Loti? In here, the Loti is at 0 frame, and in here it's at 100 frame. If I turn it like this, you cannot see, but you get the point. So what happened is this image here, it's scale, and then goes down, and that's it. You can play with this one and you can see how it really works. So I told you this one was one of my favorite sections in this website, and I really hope you understand how it works. Let's see the next section. But before that, let's display to none. 4 touches display to none. Then we have 5T download. And after 5T download, we have this other section. And this also looks cool. So as we scroll down, then the overlay is going to the right, from left to right. And then we have all of these. This appear, and after that this 2 appears, and then this one appear, and this. Okay, so let's go to the Figma. Let me open the Figma and goes to, okay, this is the entire section from here all the way to here. And after that one, this is the structure, which we have this paragraph, then we have this grid, and the some headline here, and inside of this grid we have every cell, and if inside of every cell we have some element, which is the headline. And you did not see these one coming, so these one are actually behind this. And as I show you how it is, we have this, and if I turn every cell has a background of black. If I turn off some of the opacity and give them a color of transparent, can you see those these 3 are in the back, And after that one, if I turn every cell, I turn its background color from black to 0, transparent, then you can see those 3 images, one here, and one here. That 3 background image, you see. But how we actually have this dot, 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 you see. So what happened is that in front of that 3 image, we have a big div. We have a big div like this one. And then we have a background image for this one. We have a background image, say a small color, something like this one. And after that, we put the background image to repeat itself. So what happened is it would just keep repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating, and it takes the entire div like this one, the background image. Okay, let me show you here. So in the A14 Bionic, so first of all we have the content, which is the content is in here, and it has some CSS here which you can play with it. And then we have the content overlay, which the content overlay is a linear gradient. If I turn opacity 0, you can see in the background we have a container, and for the container inside we have all of these headline and paragraph and so on. So when we scroll, when it comes into the view, while we're scrolling, what happens is that this overlay is going to get transformed in the X direction and going all the way. Let me show you in percentage. It's just going to the right, like this one. And after that we have the other div, which is A14 Bionic grid. And for the grid, what we have is we have a container as usual, and inside of this container we have a grid, and this grid has the setting here, some padding, overflow to hidden, so you can see, you can play with it. Inside of this grid we have all of these cells, this cell, this cell, this cell, and this cell. So you can see all of these cells in here. These are the cells, and inside some of the cell we have we give it display to flex box and to the justify left and align in the bottom. And inside of that we have another div, and inside the div we have the headline and this one. But how you can achieve this one, this 50%, can you see this has like a different color? It's actually not a color, it's a background image. I used okay, what is the name? Cell para. So I used custom code. I don't know why I used custom code. Maybe I wanted to go very fast. Where it is, it's this one. But if you don't want to go custom code, what you can do is you can go to this paragraph, and in here you give a background image. Where it is, you give it a background image, and after you give it a background image, then you can go to clipping and clipping to background text. Yeah, this is how you can achieve it in purely using Webflow. But I just use custom code, so you can just use this one instead of that. So this was just explaining how this one has that background image, that gradient. So every cell has a background of background color of black, and also they have some shadow. You see, they have some shadow. And if I turn the black all the way to transparent, wow, then exactly as I told you, we have 3 images in the back. And as I'm scrolling, can you see those images, all 3 of them are going downward. You see, they're going down until we're out of the view. Yeah, that is useful. You should understand that one. Okay, and inside the grid we have this diff. I did not explain what is this one. This diff takes the entire, it's a position absolute, and it takes the entire width and height of the parent, which is the grid, all the way. And inside of it we have this grid spotlight. This spotlight are those background images I told you. They have fixed width, fixed height, and they have different value for the positioning absolute. But the image or this image, and what are those images? Those images are here. These are the spotlight. I give them spotlight class name so you can understand all of these three. And they have the different positioning based on their value here. Because we have 2 and we have 3. We have 3 in here. And we have another one which is called a grid backdrop. And it also has position absolute, and it takes the entire width and height of this grid. And it has a Z index which is in front of this spotlight. So these spotlights are in the back, and in front of it we have this grid backdrop. And what is this grid backdrop? That grid backdrop is actually this one. I used custom code here, so you can see this grid backdrop. As I told you, it's a background image, and it just keep repeating itself here. It would just keep repeating itself. That's why we have these lines here. Can you see? These lines are coming from that backdrop, grid backdrop. And let me see if I can really show you somewhere here. Okay, if I come, okay, save and close. Okay, let me just explain to you what that backdrop does. So it's here. If I give it a background image, let me give a background image of oh my god, my internet is really getting so weak. So let me give this one. Or I cannot see cover, center. Okay, I still cannot see it. Why? Why? With 500, my god, 500 pixel. 500 pixel and 500 pixel. Okay, and now I can see the image. Gosh, I just wonder why it's not working. You know why it's not working? Because it was 500% and 500%. And the body has width of auto. So if we had a fixed width here, then maybe that percentage would work. I just wonder why it's not working. Okay, so let me show you. If the background image is this one, and if I give a 10 pixel, okay, custom, I give 10 pixel by 10 pixel. If I say repeat to no, if I say tile to no, then you can see we don't see any repeat. But if I say tile to this one, to repeat vertically and repeat horizontally, can you see this shape? Do you know how it looks? It exactly looks like this one here, like this squares. Can you see? That is what I mean when I say backdrop has a custom code of that one. If I turn it off, then you cannot see it. So I hope you understand that backdrop. But that backdrop doesn't use an image, it's just using a square of color gray or black, and it just keep repeating itself all the way, thousands of times. And that is why you see it in here. Yeah, in here. So this structure is done. you understand the HTML and CSS of this part. And now let's see how the animation work, because as we scroll, can you see these are going to appear. Some of the cells, they appear, and that 3 image in the back is going downwards. But they move with different velocity, or we can say different value of the vertical height. So if I go to the animation, the content, this is the content. At 0% you can see it's not moving at all. At 5% it's moving to the left 100%, and then the download and the download parallel, they just appear, opacity 0 and 100. And here this 4, it moves from 20 pixel bottom to up, and at the same time opacity from 0 all the way up to 100. And then we have the cell content. These are the cell content. It goes from opacity 0 to 100, and then the other one, opacity from 0 to 100, from 30 to 40, from 45, the other element to 50, and from 50 to 55. That is how every cell that has content just having that repetition. And for the grid spotlight, this is one of them. So at 40, it's 0 pixel down, which is the current position it has, and at 75, the grid spotlight is 300. So 300, which means that it's going downward. And what about the other one? Because we have 3, and the other one goes also 300, and the other one actually goes to 0. It goes from 300 to 0. So you can just inspect all of this. Just experiment, click and see which element it is. Okay, so A14 Bionic also finished. It explained, and I hope you understand. The only thing that is left is to show you the animation, the A14 Bionic. So let me open and show you. This is how we can just see outside of the box or outside of our screen. Can you see those images down there? Just going down. And every single one of these is square or a div. And these div that are coming down is the background image. That background image you see, that is the apparent div. So that's why it's just coming down. And now it's just going up. Okay, that one finished. Let me turn the opacity of this, the display of this one to none, and F14, and okay. The next one is the Lidar. The Lidar or Lidar, I don't know how to explain. And this one is also not that complicated, but a little bit of complication to understand it. Okay, let me find where is the Lidar. It's here. So it has an image, I'm sorry, not image, a video, and this is the top part, this is the bottom content, and this is how it looks. This is the structure. So you would just wonder, gosh, what is this? You would wonder what it is. So what we really can see with our computer is this much. Only we can see this much. This one is, okay, let me give a div. This is the display viewport, what we really can see. And let me give it a stroke of white and 5 pixels. This is the viewport, what we can see with our computer. So this is how the entire section actually works. We have another div. We have this div, which is very big. I don't know, is it why is it very big? It's just a big div. Let me give it blue and 10 pixel, and this is actually 200 viewport width, and I think it's almost 300 viewport height. Yeah, and this is the viewport that we can see with our computer. So we built something similar to this one. This is how to say, this is a gradient, a circular gradient that goes all the way out, and this is the content inside. But before going to Webflow, let me show you the animation, how the animation works, so you can get some idea. Here. Okay, this is what we can see with our computer. This is what we see with our computer. You see? Then the content comes and it's just getting out of the view. And this is what we see outside of the monitor, outside of the computer. You just come up, and when it comes up, the overlay just going to the right, and after that, oh, did you see this big div and the big overlay, the circular overlay, and this text is getting out of the view? But why the video just there? You see, here the video is down, but when we go forward, then the video is here. So that's why the video is 100 viewport width and 100 viewport height, and the position is sticky. The video is the only one that has position sticky. So let's see more. And then what happened is that, oh, that overlay is also not position sticky. That big circular overlay just going up. And then the text are coming. Okay. Okay, I understand it. Okay, enough of this animation. We can come back to this one later. Okay, now you understand how this all just work together. Okay, now let's see it in Webflow. We have the Lidar. With the Lidar has some like CSS style here, which you can play with it, and then you have the Lidar content. With the Lidar content is on the top here. Because it has an overlay, that's why we cannot see. Overflow is the hidden position relative, minus 50 viewport height just going downwards, and inside of that we have this overlay, which when I turn it off, you can see that content is in the back, and the content is inside of this container wrapper, and all of these headlines are inside. So then we have, this is the important part that you should understand. This one has 300 viewport height, this div of scroll container, and it has minus 100 viewport height margin. So just going down 300, and then we push it all the way up, minus 100 viewport height. Because if I show you what does this mean, if I put it to 0, you see, it's down, but we deliberately pull it up. So okay, let me give it minus 100 viewport height up, and the moment it comes here, this 300, it touches the top. When it touch, the position is sticky. This Lidar container is the one that holds the video, you see, and the video itself has 100 viewport width, 100 viewport height. So this percentage means the height and width of the parent. So the parent is 100 viewport width, and the width is also, which is 100 viewport width and 100 viewport height. And the position is sticky. And it's relative to which one? So you should understand, it's relative to Lidar media container, if you see here. It is, it's Lidar scroll container, the one that has 300 viewport height. So which means the moment it touches the top, everything else goes up. But because of the image, the video has position sticky, it stays here. Okay, this diff explained. And the overflow hidden is the one that big diff with gradient, that radius gradient, that it just come up and just go out. So that's why we have overflow hidden, because the diff inside of it, this overlay, this Lidar test overlay is 200 viewport width, and it's the entire height of the parent, which is 300. How we know it has the entire height? Because position absolute, top 0, left 0, it's all the way down. And left is 50%, then we just transform it back, minus 50%, which is exactly in the center, as you see in the Figma, exactly in the center. 200 viewport width and 300 viewport height, and exactly in the center. And then we have this radial gradient, you see. And let me show you in action how it works. This one come, and the moment it comes here, that overlay goes to the right, and then the position sticky video just sticks on the top, and then it just go like this, and then come out of the view. So if you did not understand this one, that's absolutely fine, because we don't have just one Lidar here. We have another one here and another one here. So I will explain it again so you would understand it in the next explanation. And for the scroll into the view, we give it to the Lidar scrolling into the view. So you can just open this one and you can inspect. You can experiment with all of this, how it works. We go from 0 to 10, 10 to 30, 30 to 35, and all the way to 80. So you can play with that one. And if I show you the video again, that Lidar container, just a moment. If I show you here, so now you can see. This is how we see, every user see on their computer. And this is when we see outside of the laptop. Okay, that's enough. Now let's go to the camera. And the camera starts with this section. I think these sections are not that complicated, so you can understand. You can just build it by yourself. You just need a div here, and the headline in the back, and another div in front of it. When we scroll, it's just going out of the view, and then we have an image, another div, another div, another div, another div, and another div. And then we have 12 Pro Max, which this one is also the same. We have one div here, we have one image, another div here, then you have a flex box of horizontal, and this two inside. And then we have this one. So this one, actually needs a little bit of more explanation. So I would explain in a moment, but before that, let's go back to Webflow and show you the camera. Inside of this section, we have a lot of div actually. We don't have only one, we actually have, I think, 4 or 5. This is the camera system, which this one just have the intro, which is this one. Inside of the intro, we have the container, then another div, and this div has a 2 headline and 1 overlay. And if I turn the overlay to 0, you can see it's there. And the overlay is just, it has some height, which you can see here, like top, bottom. This shows how high it does. See? Make the height smaller or bigger, or the width, we can give it like 200 and it would still work the same. Give it 150. And after the intro, we have another div, and this div has the entire width. Inside of it, we have another div, and this div has a fixed width, fixed height, it has a margin top, and it has minus 330 of negative margin because we push it to the left. And we have position relative for it, left 50%, and the image, remember, it also has the same width, the same height, exactly as this too. And after that one, we have the content here, and every single one of these one is we have flags list, we have container, and inside of that we have this flags box, which is vertical and left and top, and every single one of them are inside a div. And this one has a background image, which I use custom code, and you can use the background image here and then clipping it to clip background. Very simple. Okay, so the camera system finished, and for the animation part, we don't have anything because it is very simple. We just scroll this one going to the left, and can you see the image opacity from 0 goes to 100, and then all of them are 20 pixels down and opacity of 0. And for example, after 10% of a scroll or 20% of a scroll, what happened is that it goes opacity 100, and from 20 pixel goes to minus 20 pixel up. You see every single one of them. This is how they just come. And if I show you in the animation tab, in the animation tab, what happened is, first of all, we have this overlay, which at 0 until 20%. At 0, it's 0, and at 20%, it's 100%. And then we have the image at 50%, the image opacity is 0, until we arrive at 30, and the opacity gets to 100. And at 35, the move, the image here at 15% move is 15 pixel, and at 35 is minus 120. So it means that it's going up faster. And okay, actually then we have this div, which has every single one of these div has 2 elements inside. One is the heading, one is this line. So for this one, from 45 to 55, which is 10% of scrolling. So for 10%, as I told you, we have move 50 pixels down and opacity of 0. And after 10%, the move is going to up back to 0. If it was this initial position, we move it down, and after 10%, we move it up, and opacity goes from 0 to 100. And this happening from 45 to 55, and the other element here from 55 to 65, and the other element from 65 to 75, and the other element is here from 75 to 85. So hope you understand it. So let me just say display to none, and also the Lidar display to none, and the camera. Okay, after this one we have the camera Pro, the 12 Pro, and 12 Pro the same. We have heading, we have image, and this flags box here. So any animation do we have? Yeah, animation, we have that the animation, the moment it starts, opacity goes from 0 to 100 of this one, 0 to 100 of the image, and this one and this one exactly work as this one, as I explained before, so no need to explain again. They just come like this. Okay, so next we have to explain these portraits that come out at night. So which div it is? This is portrait at night. So let me go to the Figma. Here, it goes from this one to this one. And here, let me explain something to you. The moment I say overlay, so when I am going to explaining the animation, I would say some names, so you should understand. When I say some names, you should know what I mean, so I show you like this. Okay, when I say overlay, I mean this div here, which is I think -40 viewport height. And when I say image, of course this is this image. And when I say content, I mean this div. When I say the parent, that is the entire div that holds all of them. So okay, now let me show you. Let me show you in the Webflow. Okay, when I say overlay, this div, parent, the entire div, the image, and the content. So let me go to the Webflow. Here, portrait night. So this is the parent. The parent is this portrait right card gallery. That is the parent. So now you know which one I'm talking. No, this one. Inside of this we have a lot. This portrait night is the parent. The parent from here to here. And this one has position relative, and you would find out why we give position relative. On the top we have the overlay. So now you know which overlay I'm talking. That overlay that has 50 viewport height. And if I give this 50 viewport height, just for our explanation, let's give it a solid background of why I cannot give, okay, if I give a solid background of say blue, which is this one, can you see when we come here the overlay is going up but the image is not going up, so this is obvious that the image has position sticky. So it comes here and then the image stays. Okay, how the image has position sticky. So let me go to the parent. The parent is this one, and not that one. The parent is yeah, this portrait night gallery card. When I give combo class of first, this is the first element which starts from here and all the way to here. So if I can give it a background color of green, yeah, this is the first child. That's why I give it first, combo class. It starts from here and finish in the bottom of here. And it has it doesn't have any height. The height is auto. Whatever the children's height is, that one's height. And then we have the gallery card wrapper. That is the one that actually take the container and all of these and then takes the row and then the center content. And my god, I use so many divs, so you can just see the setting here. But what they all does is they have one image in the center, which is this one, and they have a text content in the bottom. And their parent height is actually 140, this one. It has a minimum height of 140. So if it has, for example, if it has 100 viewport height, then we would not have that sticky anymore. Why? Because the parent come and go just out. Because the one that has position sticky, which is this image, it has 100 viewport height. And the moment it touch on the top, the parent is already in the bottom, so it will not have position sticky. But if I give it minimum height of 140, then what happens is we have 40 viewport height extra 40 viewport height extra, and that's why we can scroll. So the moment the parent touch in the bottom, on the top we have 140 viewport height. So that's why we have 40 viewport height extra place to scroll, and that's why we can have that animation. The position is sticky. Okay, why again? No. This one has to be 100 and the parent should have, the parent must be 140. Yeah, so this is how it works. The entire green is 140, can you see? And the parent of the picture has position sticky, and that position sticky is relative to this green one. So until the green bottom, it does not touch the bottom of the screen here. Until it doesn't touch here in the bottom, the position sticky will be there. And this one, this image, it just expand, it's just getting big. It's obvious to show you here. You see, it's getting big, it's scaling up. So the animation works like this. The moment it's here, the opacity goes from 0 to 100 slowly and slowly, and then what happens is that the image is also scaling up from 1 to 1.5 until it touches the top. When it touches the top, from 1.5 we just jump to a scale of 2. Can you see? A scale of 2. But the origin is in the top, because if this one is the image, and if the origin is in the center, and if I scale it, if I scale it to 2, can you see? It just, okay, not 2. If I go 1.7, 1.2, can you see it just is scaling from the center? But if I give on the top, and then when I scale it, can you see from the top it just is scaling all the way downward? And if I scale it down, you see the top is also fixed, always fixed, just going from the top. Okay, back to 1. And that is all you need to understand, that the height of the parent is 140, and then this overlay is 50 viewport height, so we have an extra of 40 viewport height to scroll, and the child has the image has position sticky relative to the parent, which has the 140 viewport height. And if I go to the animation here, if I go to animation, so here the image at 0 has, as I told you, it's down. It's minus 50 pixel actually up, and scale is 0.8, and from 0 to 15 the opacity goes from 0 to, okay, which image is this one? Scale from 0 to 45 goes to 0.9, and from 49 to 50 the scale is just jumping back to 1, and opacity goes to 100. And that is how it works here. So as I told you in here, see, opacity goes from 0 to 100, and from 0.8 the scale is going to 1, and from here it just jump, you see, getting big, just scaling to 1, and then the text comes here. And this is how it works. So after that, I just copy this one and paste it here, and then paste it again and paste it again. So these, all of them work the same. This one, all of them exactly work the same. They have 140 view per heart for the parent, and then position is sticky, and for some of them the flags box is vertical, for some of them the direction is horizontal, and we have two div. So you just go like this one. So for all of them it's the same. You just understand once and one of that, and then you can just copy paste and just change the images and change the content. But the moment you change the image, actually for every single one of them you should add a combo clause. So here it's image, and the other one here we have image dash dash 1 and image dash dash 2. So they are just having combo clause. And if you want to see the animation as I prepared here, so where it is, okay, he's here. Okay, this is how it works. Can you see that overlay there? The moment you touch the top of the screen, the overlay is going up, but the image stays sticky, and then the image here is scaling. Can you see? And this is happening to all of them. See how the image scales up and down? Scaling from 0.8 to 1, I think, yeah. See here, we can see clearly how the image is scaling, and that overlay is going out. Oh, finished? Okay, a little bit more. Okay, this is when we see from our perspective, from the laptop. This is actually the other section. This is the other section, and this one also exactly works the same as the... Okay, after this one, it comes this one. You see how the overlay is going up and the image stay sticky, and also this one, and then this one, and then this one, and then this one. So all of them work the same. So you understand one of them, then you understand all of them. Okay, then we have a snapshot. So let me turn off the camera. We have a snapshot, and for the snapshot, you know what? We have just some style here, and into that we have container, and inside the container we have the display wrapper, which is this one, the content, and then we have this one, which is Flexbox and stretch, and to the left, and into that one we have two div. One is the top part here, and the other one is the bottom, which we have this heading here and these buttons in here. And on the top part we have three, actually we have 1, 2 and 3, because we need JavaScript. When you click here, they just change. For example, this one is the telephoto. For example, if we click telephoto, the opacity or the display should be shown. See how it changes? I actually built it, but I did not use JavaScript to create that click handler. So but if you know JavaScript, you can easily build actually that when we click this one, how everything change. So inside of gallery item, we have gallery item is a Flexbox, and it's horizontal. We have one here and another one here. So inside this is a background image, and for the background image we have one, the image itself, and the other one is the mask, which is only this image here and only this image here, only this image here, because depends on which one we click, we only want to show that part of the image. So yeah, and on the right we have the content, and the content just is a Flexbox. One is this top here, which is this one, the row is in the top, and then we have the other row here, and inside of that we use list. And so it takes me a lot of time to build. Then I just find out that I cannot make that click handler with Webflow. We need JavaScript to build that. So we are also finished with the snapshot, and if we go here, okay, we finished from that part, also a snapshot. You see, when I said the mask, every single one of them is a picture, and we just put one here, one here, one here. I actually built the iPhone 11 Pro, and I make a step-by-step tutorial. If you see that one, then you would really understand how this one works, this mask. Then we have this one, and this one is also not so complicated. And then we have for raw. So this one is also very simple. You can just build it by yourself. You just use a, this is a section, some setting here. Then into it we have the container, and then the row. The row is actually the Flexbox that takes one div on the left, which is the content, and one div on the right, which is the image. So we finish from here, and then we have the background black. The background black is just a 400 pixel, which is black here. And if I show you, it's this 400 pixel of black dark color, because when we scroll, it's there. And the Lidar, let me bring it back here. So here, and here again we come back to Lidar. So in this case, first we have this one, then we go to this one, and then to this one. And this is how it can be seen. So this is what we really see in our computer, but this is what is outside of the computer. We have a big div and 200 viewport width and 300 viewport height, and it has a radial gradient. So let's inspect it in the, but before that let me show you the animation so you get some idea of what I'm really talking. And if I open this one with this one, okay, this is what we see actually, and this is what the users see on their computer. Okay, it finished the section. Now scrolling again, scroll up to see it once again. Can you see that circle, that radial gradient? And now this is how we see it from much far distance. Outside of our computer, outside of monitor, it looks like this. The video come and then the video stays there, position is sticky. Then that radial is just keep moving. And then here is exactly in the center. And then it's just going up until the bottom of the parent come, and then the sticky video also go up with them. Okay, I think that's enough. Okay, that's enough. In here, so let me explain a little bit more. In here we have the section which has some padding and so on. Then we have the Lidar content, which is this one, and we have a overlay in front of it, you see? And as we scroll, the overlay is just going to the right and it's getting out of the view. Then we have the container for the content. After that, we have Lidar scroll container. This is the one that takes the entire height. And this one is the parent, and it has 300 viewport height and minus 100 viewport height. Actually, we need to give minus 100 viewport height, because if we give it 0, we don't have too much to scroll. You see? When we don't give. When we come here, just a little bit of a scroll and just get out. So we have 200 viewport height scroll here. But when we give it minus 100 viewport height, wait. When we give here, give minus 100 viewport height, it's just going up. So we have more time to scroll. You see? Here. And then the video is positioned sticky. And its position is sticky relative actually to this 300 viewport height, because this is the parent. As far as the parent doesn't touch the bottom, the bottom of the parent doesn't touch the bottom of the screen, we have the position sticky here. So as long as it doesn't touch, you see the moment it touch here, then the position sticky of the image is going up like this one. Yep, and inside of this we have this overflow to hidden, which has 100 viewport height and 100 viewport width. And inside of that we have that big div actually that has 200 viewport width, and it has position absolute and top 0, left 0, which stretch all the way up to 300 viewport height of the parent, and radial gradient, and minus 50 viewport, minus 50% transformation on the X, and 50% here from the left of position absolute. These two just exactly center it to the center of the screen. I actually explained this one in detail in the iPhone 11 Pro and the AirPod Pro that I made tutorial if you want to see it on the YouTube channel. So yeah, see, position absolute 20 viewport width, and top 0, left 0, and exactly 50 starts position absolute, 50 start from the 0, and then you push it to the left for by the transformation negative 50%, and that's why it's here. and this one, and then we have the Lidar container. The Lidar container is the one that actually takes the video, so that's why it has width 100%, height 100%. This percentage means that it takes 100% of the parent, so 100 viewport height, and this one just auto, which is 100 viewport width. And this one actually is position sticky relative to, remember, check this one, relative to which one? Relative to the parent. And then we have the bottom container, which is all of this one. So we don't need to talk about animation, do we? So you understand that the moment we come here, the diff, the overlay just going to the right, and then that center, when the moment we come here, the opacity of that big circle is 0. Again, when you scroll a little bit here, you see that circle comes up and the opacity will make it 100 again. So let me show this one inside the animation tab. So if I go to the scroll container, when I go here and I open it, so you can see that the overlay is the one that is in front of this text. At 0, it's 0%. At 35, it's minus 140% to the right. Opacity at 25 is 100, and at 30 opacity gets to 0, and then here also the same. Then let me show you the circle, that big circle. Okay, it's here. At 30, opacity is 100, and at 35, opacity is at 0. Where is 35? Exactly here. The moment we come here, you see, here opacity is not 0. The moment we come to 35, here opacity of that circle is completely 0. That's why we see the video so clear. And again, when we come here, then again the opacity gets to 100. So it is in 65, which at 60 opacity is 0, and at 65 opacity gets to 100. And the rest are just story. I'm joking. The rest are just these ones which you can check and experiment with it. So the Lidar here finished. Lidar, and this one is called Dolby Vision. And then we have the background color, and again Lidar, but this time it's night movie. So this one works exactly as the two other Lidar section. So you understand this one and also this one. Okay, then you have the other section, and the other section is this true depth camera. But before that one, I actually built some other animation for you. So you can see it here. This is what every user sees actually. Okay, don't feel bored. Okay, here. This is what we see actually out or outside of the screen. You see that big circle? You just come here, and this is the moment which we turn the opacity actually to 0. And we can see the entire video, and again go up. And here we bring it back opacity to 100. And then all of the content just go up. So you see in here, you really clearly see the moment the parent touches here, you see, then the video becomes position sticky until the top touches here, and then the image is not sticky anymore. And then we have actually this one, the depth camera. So this one is also very simple actually. You really can build this one by yourself. If you understand the rest, these are also the same. We have headline, we have image, and then we have this overlay that going from when we scroll just transform and going to the right. And then we have this one which is Flexbox, and this one has background image, and also this one. So these are the Loti. The Loti, when they come into the view, it just play once. We are not looping it. And then this one, and also this one. But this one is a, how to say, this one is a Loti that keep looping. When it comes into view, like it just keep playing. And after this one, we have this, which is also this one is a very simple, just the section, the container, and then the Flexbox. Then Flexbox given horizontal, one left and one right, one for the content, one for the image. And after that one, this is my favorite section. At the beginning, I thought that this one is a video I was going to play. But then I find out that no, that one is absolutely HTML and CSS in JavaScript. So this one is built pure HTML and CSS. But before that one, let's talk about these sections a little bit. So, but before that one, let me show you the animation I built for you. It's this one. Okay, you can see it. Can you see as we scroll, when they come into the view, we just translate X, we just move those overlay to the left. And the moment those Loti come into the view, they just keep playing. Now we see it from much further. You see those overlay is not moving until their parent sections come into the view. And when they come into the view, see, this one doesn't move at all until it comes into the view. Only the last Loti is keep looping. Okay, finished. And if you want to talk about the hardware with content, this we don't have any setting here. Then we have the first one, and okay, no need to talk about this. I mean, when you see all of this, and you can see the setting here, and you can go to the animation tab, and you can see how the animation actually work. It's not so hard. You can just inspect by yourself. You can experiment with it. The one that I'm going to talk in detail with would be this iOS, which I'm really interested in, and I really love this section. So first, let's go into the Figma. Okay, here. So first we have this one. From this one, as we scroll, then we see something like this. And after this one, we see something like this one. And finally, we see this one. And if I show you here, first we have this, then we see something similar to this one, you see, and after that we see something like this one. If I show you something in Figma here, if I show you something here, something as big as this one, so what do you think? Where is the viewport? Where is that every user see on their laptop? Can you see? It's actually here. This one is the viewport. This is what every user sees, but this is how behind the scene work. You see, everything is getting blown up, it's scaled up, and every single one of them has different transform X and transform Y, and this is how it looks outside of the box. Can you see? This one is an image, this one, and also this left here, this left and the right one is nothing more than an image, but the inside actually is not an image. That is HTML CSS, and it works like this one. We have one div, and inside the div we have a grid, and we have actually three cell, actually we have four column, and I don't remember, we have 4, 8, 12, and I think we have 12 rows. So every single one of these cell has a background image of clock of this one, and every single one of them take one by one cell, and this one takes 2 by 2, this one, and this one. And this div has a background image of this cover. Can you see? And when we put all of them together, it looks like this one. So I built this one for you to just get an idea of how this one is built. And okay, this one is the background. How it works is that we have this div. We have this div, and onto this div we put this one in front of a div. Okay, this div gets position relative, then we put another div, give position absolute and the entire width and height of it, and then we give a background image of this image, and then we put this one in the back. This is another div, and it's inside of it, and it has position absolute, and the background image is to cover, and it's here. And then what we do is we put another div inside of this, and that div is going to take a grid, and it takes like 4 column and 12 rows, and this one takes like 2 by 2 cell, and then this one takes 1 cell. So every single one of them are actually a div, which their background image is these images here. And like you get the idea. We just take and this one is actually another div, which we give it background image and put it in the bottom here, and then this one, and you get the idea that all of them are actually going to be inside of this one. And then what happened is that here, what we do is we take this one and we make all of them actually scale up. We scale up, and every single one of them takes transform translate X, and this one gets transform translate X, and then this one transform translate X. So basically every single one of them has a unique transformation that we move them all the way in different position like this. We move them in different position, and then what happened is that we also scale this one. We scale them. Oh my God. We scale like this one, and as we zoom, well, no, we cannot zoom when we scale up, of course. This will be like this one, very big. So let's see with this one once again. It's here, and then this is the image actually that blown up. And when we scroll like this, you see, it's getting smaller. It's scaled down, and all of these elements, which is the one cell of the grid, they just coming back to its original position, because we give it transform, translate x of different position. So here they, as we scroll, it's coming back to its original position. And for this one, I have actually two animations. So let me show you so you get some idea. This is the first animation. So this is what everybody see. This is what everyone see in their monitor. This one go up. And then can you see everything just coming and scaling down? And then it's getting out of the view. And this is what actually a lot of people cannot see, because this is all outside of the monitor. So because the overflow is hidden, and the monitor is not that big to just everything can be seen. So this is what the user sees, and this is what actually exactly happening in the background behind the scene. You see everything just coming to its original position, and every single one, for example, this big image here, this is like scaled like 10 times, and then transform, translate x here. And as we scroll, it just is scaling down and transforming back to its original position, which is in here. You see? You see how it's just going to its original position? This is actually from much further. And then I zoom for you to just see it clearly. And as I zoom, can you see? We are so far actually. Yep, the animation finished. Actually, the video quality is good, but the animation here, because I zoomed so in, that's why the quality getting so bad. See? Yep. Okay, so let me get out of this one, and let me show you the other animation. I think it's here. So this one is just this one, just this hardware, because this one is the one that is important actually. So you see that the phone is getting so big that the monitor screen is just looking this background. And as we scroll and it's getting smaller, that's how every single one of them coming back to its position. So their initial position when we scroll is, for example, this one is scaled like 10 times or 9 times, but it's not actually 10 times or 9 times. These are just scaled like 4 times or 3 times or 2 times of their original original scaled, but because the parent is also scaled up, so that's why it also affects all the children inside of it. So if the parent is scaled 10 times, so which means that all the child is also scaled 10 times. But I will explain that after this animation. So just see this one. So this is just what we see in our computer, and this is how all happening behind the scene. Okay, it's finished. And now I told you that I explained to you in here. So let me put it aside. So for example, this one is the parent, right? If I scale this one, for example, 2 times, and the original position is here, and I move it here, but the moment I scale the parent, the moment I scale the parent, you see it affects all the children inside of it. So that is exactly what is happening there in the Webflow. Okay, let me just put this one back. Maybe you people will use it, because I also shared the Figma in the description below. So let me put it back. Let me also delete this one and delete this one. Okay. Now let's talk. Okay, this the iOS, and okay, let me put my my video all the way here. Okay, we have iOS. We have actually 200 viewport height for it, and nothing else. Then we have the sticky container. So the sticky container has 100 viewport height. So we have actually 100 viewport height extra for scroll. So that's why we can scroll this one, but they still this background, see, just stays stationary because of the sticky container. The parent has 200 and the sticky container has 100, and its sticky container is relative to the body. And then we have the iOS overflow hidden. Overflow hidden here. Overflow hidden is very important because, as you see, everything just blown up, everything just scaled up. If you don't have this overflow hidden, then what happens is that in the browser we can see all of those overflow and all of those elements that getting blown and getting scaled so much. But remember, you see this sticky container? If this overflow is a parent of a sticky container, then the sticky container is not going to work. Remember, any overflow hidden must be inside of the sticky container. It has sorry, it has 100 viewport width and 100 viewport height. So this 100% actually. So this means that the parent, 100% of the parent, which that is like 100 viewport width. So next we have the container as usual. Then we have iOS intro. So this iOS intro is the parent of this, all of these heading here. So its position absolute. So that's why the moment it comes, it's here, you see? So just opacity 0, then 100, then again opacity 0. It's still here. That diff is still here, but you see it's still here, but because we turn the opacity to 0, that's why we cannot see it, but it's still here. So in here also it's still here, but because the opacity becomes 0, that's why we cannot see it. So this iOS intro is not so important, so let me just display it to none. And then I have this hardware container, and for the hardware container, it's a flexbox, and it is direction horizontal, and inside of that we have three div actually. One is this left, one is in the center, which is the point of attraction, which is, we will talk about it more, and the right is this one. So this left is just a div with another div inside of it, which that div inside of it has a fixed width, fixed height, and it has a background image. And which one is the background image? The background image is actually this one. It's this one. This one is a complete image. And then the one on the right has another one, which this one is also a background image, as you can see it in here. So the width and height is the same as the width of height of this one, because the image themselves has this ratio, this width and this height. And also we have content, and for the content, let me go to the first one, which doesn't have any combo class. We have 3 on this page. The moment I get opacity 0, so you can see that they are already here, but because the opacity is 0, that's why we cannot see it. And as we scroll, what we do is we just make the opacity to 100. And the third one is this one. This is the most important one. For this one, we have a div, and this div, this flexbox is not so important, so don't care about that one. So the width, all of them has like 33% width. So inside of this one, we again have the content, so not so important, but the hardware. So the hardware has position relative, because, let me explain. The hardware has position relative, and all the div we make inside, we give it position absolute. And after giving it positioning absolute, we just exactly position where we want. For example, this clock, or this one here. So we can give them position absolute, and we can fix wherever we want them to be. But that was just an example, because the clock doesn't have position actually absolute. It's just a part of the grid, just one cell of the grid. So this has position relative, nothing else. And then inside of it we have the UI. So what is UI? The UI has the same width and height as the image, because the image has this width and this height. And as I told, it has position absolute, and it starts in the top left. And inside of that we have the top UI, and top UI is this little image. So if I show you, that is, where is the image? Okay, you get it. That is just a little image here, and we give them position absolute and top 20 pixel. If I, for example, put it down, all the way down here, can you see? This is nothing but an image. So let me put it back where it was. And then we have hardware wallpaper. This wallpaper is a very big image actually. It's like 2000 by 3000 pixel. That's why when we scale it up, this is the wallpaper. You see, this is the wallpaper. So that's why when it's scaled up, it still looks like high quality image. See, this still looks good quality. So in here, the background image is this one. So it's better to explain step by step. This is the background image. So we have that, as I told you before, we had that div, and under that div we have this one, and this is the background image as we have it in here. This is the wallpaper, and then we have the hardware cover. The hardware cover is actually this one. It's this one. It's this one. We give a div of hardware cover, and then the background image we put it to this one. But remember, all of them has the same width and same height. because the same width and the same height. And then we have the bottom UI. The bottom UI has same width and height of the image. These four actually are the image, as I show you in the Figma. Can you see? This is the image. So this has the same width and height of the parent div, has the same width and height of that image. Next we have the hardware grid. So this is the hardware software. This is the grid, and inside of that one, how we have four row and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 column. So the gap is 10 pixels in every single one of them, and every cell has a div, and we call it icon wrapper. And that icon wrapper has fixed width, fixed height, and this fixed width and fixed height comes from the width and height of every single one of these elements in this image. And they have a background image. This one has background image of clock, this one has background image of camera, and this one has background image of the mail. So you get it, every single one of them. And after this, we are actually finished. So you get the point of how this one is built, but the animation is more important. So let me bring this one here, and now let me go to the animation and show you how the animation actually works. So we have two animations. One is for the phone, which is this animation, and one is for the laptop. Okay. Okay, so for the desktop, we just talk about the desktop, not for the laptop one. We'll talk only for the desktop one, not for the phone one. So first of all, we have the iOS intro. The iOS intro is this one. The one that I give it display to none, so display it back. And let's see how it worked here. So the iOS intro here, it's actually moved down 100 pixel at 30%, and at 50% it's actually moved up 100 pixel, and opacity at 30 is 0, at 35 is 100, and at 45 it goes back to 0. And then we have hardware. Which hardware? This is the middle one, and this one has opacity 100 at 47, and at 50 actually. We go from 50, all of these has different scale. You see all of these are every single one of these elements. So they have different scale and different move. Move is the X and Y, the movement we give them. For example, in here. So every single one of them has, every single one of them has different X and Y movement. So from 50 all the way to 65. So going from 50 to 65 is going from all of these to back to their position. So how I want you to play with it. So how you can do is, for example, take this hardware. The initial position is getting 9.7. It just scaled to 9.7, which means that the original is this one, but we scale it to 9.7, which looks like this one. So scale is 9.7, and as we go from 50 to 68, what we do is we scale it back to 1 as it was. So because, okay, because okay, sorry, it's this one, it's the left one. It is actually this image. So at first it's 9.7, and from 50, as we go to the 68, we scale it back to 1, which is in here, and move it back to its position, which this is its position. And at 68, you see this big image. This one is from the other one, from this one on the left, because at 68 it's big. So when you go, for example, 77, then it also gets small, and it also gets its original position. And as we see, for example, this hardware, this is the center one, the one that has grid. So it's also scaled to 9.7 at 50, but at 65 it is scaled back to 1. So these are, if the parent has a scale of 1, all the children, for example, 65, so all the child, you see all of this one, this is actually the scale we give to the element. For example, this heart element, this help, this one has, for example, scale 2 and x, like for example minus 300 and y 350, and this photo is scaled to 2 and x minus like 400 and y like 600. So this is the transformation in scale they have. But because the parent has scaled up, so all the children also scale up to 9.7. So this is all the icon wrapper. So this one icon wrapper, which one is this one? We don't know. We have to open it in here. For example, open it in here and see which one is this one. So this one is maybe the photos. We don't know. So we can just go back and check which one is this one. Just go to the designer here, go to styles and see which one is that one. For example, this icon is maybe this home. So this is the value it has. Transform X this one, transform Y this one, and scale is 2.2, which is this heart. And let's see the other one. This icon is transform 126 and 20, and the scale is 1.8, which is the male actually. So this is all here. So what you can do is just play with it, and let's see. If you had any question, just let me know in the comment section, and I will reply you, and I will tell you what it. But if I could answer your questions, I would just do it. I'm not that lazy. When I built this website, it actually took me 4 days to really understand how everything works. You cannot build something unless you understand it. So if you understand something and cannot build, you still did not understand it well. So you really understand it once you really build it by yourself. And it took me honestly 4 days to really understand and build this one by myself. And the thing that I explained here, if you understand all the explanation and you really think you can understand, then you have to build this website by yourself. After all of this explanation, if you still cannot build this website by yourself, then no, I don't know what to say. Then I don't want to be disrespectful. So if you cannot build it, then I really don't know what to say. So I hope you can build this one by yourself. And let me show you this iOS animation once again for the last time, because I think this is a little bit complicated to understand. So here, you see how all of them get a transformation X and Y, and also a scale of 2 or 4. Yes, I hope you get it. Yep. Thank you so much.